Good morning, Lafayette, on this chilly morning outside. We haven't seen cold weather like this since earlier this year. How about yesterday? It was cold yesterday. It's been cold off and on here the last month or so, and our temperatures are below zero this morning. We are hovering at 0 to 1. I saw as low as -5 already this morning in the local area. I am your host of Let's Talk Lafayette, meteorologist Brian Burden. I will be bringing you plenty of weather forecasts today. We'll be talking some Purdue sports that didn't go so well last night. We'll be talking some of the national stuff, some of the local stuff too. It's going to be a shorter day today, only about an hour or so. Got a doctor's appointment today. We'll be heading off to that. So let's get right into it, especially the weather for the local area. Let's see what we've got to confront ourselves today. All right. We're going to start off with some of the local, exactly what's happening outside temperature, so to speak. That's what I like to call it. It's is your little weather bug that you get. This is just from MSN, and it shows a current temperature of 1 degree Fahrenheit, of course. Sunny skies, feels like -3 outside. Winds are only 5 miles an hour. So you notice it's only about a 4 or 5 degree difference in your temperature compared to your actual temperature to your wind chill. So, uh, it's a pretty good number to feel like the first 10 to 20 miles an hour is about a 10 to 20 degree drop in your temperature Fahrenheit. That's kind of how it works out. It's not exact, but it's pretty close to that. Gives you an idea, gives you a feel for it, so that if you're out and about and you want to know what it is and you have an idea on some of the numbers, you can kind of see that. Now, we start off with the bug like this a lot of times in the morning because you want to see what's actually happening just over the next couple of days. Shows a high today of 16. That low this morning around -4. When I dropped the boys off, the grandsons this morning at the bus, it was -2 on ours. So it was pretty chilly. Matter of fact, I think I hit -3 while we were sitting there. You're looking at a low tomorrow again, below zero, with a high of only in the teens. Same for Friday. Friday, a little warmer in the morning. Same for Saturday, but still only in the teens. Finally, some 20s on Sunday into Monday. Notice no real extravagant snowfall anywhere listed on here. Just pretty much sunny skies or partly to mostly sunny skies. And then one cloudy day out on Monday. I'm sure we'll see some mix of here or there where we'll get some clouds, but generally speaking, right now we look okay for any big type of fronts. There still is the effect right now of the extreme cold in our local area. Still valid till 12 p.m. today, they're saying now. They've extended it out for the extreme cold warning. Dangerously cold wind chills as low as 21 below zero for the cold weather advisory. Very cold wind chills. So, again, right now we're probably in the 5 to 10 range only because the wind is down at the current moment. The dangerous cold wind chills as low as 20 below. And a lot of this was last night around midnight or so, but will linger throughout the area today as winds do pick up just probably a little bit here this morning. We'll have to keep an eye on that as the temperature is hovering down there in the right around zero for most of us, at least locally. When we pop up the satellite chart right now, here's what you will see. You will see, again, remember, this is your infrared chart. This is of basically the Midwest. So you can see the Great Lakes just to the north. The cursor is right where Lafayette is right now. You see a lot of blue there, and you tell yourself, well, what is that? A lot of cloud cover. But in reality, that is just the cold temperatures that you're seeing in the blue there. You notice it extends all the way down through central Indiana. You can see some cloud cover moving just to the southeast of Indianapolis, moving off to the south. And that kind of pinpoints exactly where that little moisture shot showed yesterday on the model coming through just to our south. If you watched yesterday, you saw I talked a little bit about that. But a big pocket of cold weather here because the infrared shot at night takes a picture of the actual temperatures, not the actual clouds themselves. So you're seeing temperature readings from the satellite, and that's what you're seeing. So very cold temperatures out in Missouri this morning, very cold temperatures in Illinois, Indiana, just bone chilling back up in towards Wisconsin and Michigan, and even towards Minneapolis this morning. And then there's some high clouds off to our south east, off to our northeast, off to our northwest. It seems like we're surrounded, but that's because there's a big high pressure system over our area, kind of keeping us quiet as of right now. I'm going to zoom in here real quick. We'll take a look at the localized just so you can kind of pinpoint what's going on. Lafayette right here. You can kind of see almost the little bright spot right there. Look at that. Lafayette's starting to put off its own little bit of heat on its own right there. Notice Indianapolis. See how bright it is around Indianapolis, yet it's cold on the outside. And so it just goes to show you that even Lafayette is starting to put off its own urban heat island, is what we like to call that. And then there's cold temperatures just about everywhere. And we're also starting to see a little lightness coming in from the northwest because winds are starting to shift to the west and it's a bit warmer out to the west. So we're going to lose that heat. And I would imagine in the next hour, this thing's going to turn all bright white or for the temperatures being much warmer than they are right now. So not much for cloud cover. You can see some clouds coming off the lake, and then you can see those clouds to our southwest that are streaming off. And they are warmer than actually what is on the ground right now. That's why they are showing up as the white that they are. So that kind of gives you an indication of that. Let's take a look at the model. Let's go right to the HER. Let's go to the big picture first. Where are we this morning? Okay, Lafayette right about here. There you can see it, the -3. It shows -3 on the chart right now. Hopefully you're able to see that pretty well. There's a big spot of below zero temperatures across Indiana, Ohio. Then there's kind of a gap, although it's right at zero for everybody. And then another spot of open temperatures where it's like 8 to 10 below, which is better than they were just a week ago or a few days ago up there, where they were double digit below zero temperatures up there at that time frame. But this morning, very cold, very chilly. Yet you notice out here, even though it's blue, you think to yourself that's cold. 14 is much better than zero, obviously, right? And this temperature wants to come towards us as the day develops today and will help warm us up just a little bit. So here we are this morning. This was at 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, right where we are now, showing right at 0 to 1. And it says in the next hour, we're going to pop right up to like 5, 9 by the noon time frame. That's 11, 12 by noon. And then we're hovering just around 16, 17 degrees. There's the max this afternoon, coming in right around 4 o'clock. That's when that sun angle starts to go back down. We lose any help we get from the sun by that time frame. It's about 17, 18 degrees this afternoon. And then temperatures drop off again tonight. Here they go. There's midnight, and we're already back down to 4 degrees. That pocket of cold is starting to form again between Indianapolis and Cincinnati, and just to the north of Cincinnati in Ohio. And we're back down to 0 by 5 in the morning to -1 and -2. There you go. There's a -2 reading at 13 Zulu, which is 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. So we're going to be cold again tomorrow morning. Depending on the school, it doesn't look like winds are too bad. Depending on the school district and what they have for cold weather numbers, what they use, we'll see if schools will delay again tomorrow. It's a possibility again with the cold weather in here. That wouldn't surprise me at all. But it's just as cold at 8 o'clock as it is at 6 o'clock if you're getting on the bus. It looks like, at least at this point. Big old high still in control of us right now, and that shows on those temperatures. And then as we go forward tomorrow, more of the same. Here we go back to maybe 13, 15. I see a 17. I think that's 18 on there right now, 17, 18 degrees, 16 at the very least. So that's about it, but only 6 knots of wind, so not too bad tomorrow. Wind-wise, that is. And then overnight, it drops right back off, and here we go back into Friday morning, and look at it again. Now we're kind of a bit more in the picture, -4 for the temperature during that time frame. And what I've noticed is we're not seeing the development of the clouds coming off the lake like it showed yesterday in the model. Yesterday, remember I said it was kind of hit and miss there with the clouds and could help us or hurt us. Doesn't look like we're anywhere in any clouds Thursday night into Friday, which is, I think, is when they were showing it yesterday. So that's kind of the big picture locally for the next 2 days. And then when you break it down and come in closer, and let's do that right now. Let's go in real close so you can see the numbers really good. Here we are this morning. I mean, it's hovering around 0 or so. We warm up. That wind coming out of the west. See the wind barb here pointed from the west towards us at about 15 knots, 13, 15 knots. So wind chills are going to be around 0 just about all day. And it's going to be cold and chilly. And then it's going to warm up to about 18. And then here we go again tonight, dropping off. There is that big pocket south of us. We're going to be 0 to -2 or 3 in the morning again. So it just depends on where you're at and when you're at. And you're going to be somewhere around 0 to even -5 in Crawfordsville, not very far away at all. And then warming back up again tomorrow. So I'm just kind of going through the close in view of this now compared to what we looked at just a minute or so ago. And then Friday morning back down and there you go, -3 on Friday morning at 8 o'clock. That matter of fact, this is 7 o'clock, 8 on Friday morning. So there it is, lots of chilliness. Now look at no wind though, 4 knots, so that's not too bad. But that still means a wind chill of close to -10. Even with just 4 knots, it's going to feel cold out there for sure. But how about precipitation? Are we going to see anything out of this system or anything around us? No, look at this. We're not seeing any snow come off of the lake. It kind of tries to shift. There it is on Thursday afternoon into the evening, but nothing comes off of it like it tried to show us yesterday that it would do. So right now it looks like a couple of clear days, and with those clear days means cold days at night, and the temperatures are just not going to give up on us for a while right now, it looks like. Let's go and take a look at those winds too real quick here. Surface winds. These are the wind gust potential. We're still showing potential for like 9 right now, but look how quickly it picks up to gust to 19 or 20. So 20 with a 5-degree temperature is like -15. Hence the reason why they still have the warning in effect until about the 11 or 12 o'clock time frame, and then it goes out. Stays kind of in the 20s this afternoon. Looks a bit gusty. There's a little pocket of wind that's going to pick up in central Illinois late this afternoon into the evening. Does kind of miss us, but we could see a little influence from this, and it might be why the winds are staying in the 20, 21, 22 range for this afternoon into the evening. But with a temperature again around now 15 or so, at least we're still hovering around 0 to -5. Still a chilly day all day today. Then as we go into the nighttime hours tonight, we start to die out. Here we are at 10 o'clock tonight. Winds are down to 10 miles an hour for your gusts, sustained probably around 5 miles an hour. And then it just dies out for tomorrow morning. And we take a look at it at 8 o'clock, and it's at 11 miles an hour. That's your gust, and 12. But remember, now your temperature is like -2, and you're going to feel like -12 to -15, maybe even an isolated spot of -20. So I wouldn't be surprised if we put out some watches again tonight or warnings about the cold again tomorrow morning. And the same will happen as we go into Friday. Now, Thursday during the day, it looks very nice wind wise. We're talking just light winds comparatively to what we'll see today. And then Friday morning, still looking good, looking good. Remember that the lighter winds also allowed that the temperature to escape into the atmosphere pretty easily. Hence, it gets cold just like that. So there you go. That's what the HUR is showing right now with your main story, the cold, obviously. Are we going to have any problems with things like surface visibility? Remember, there's a lot of wet snow to our south, and I noticed the visibilities in the mornings pop up. Look at that south of us. Here's Lafayette. We're in the cold snow. The wet snow south of Indianapolis, you see pockets of fog popping up in the morning in places wherever it's very dense fog. And then it kind of goes away. And then let's see what happens Friday morning. Gets a little closer to us there as we start to get some influence of a little bit of moisture. So we'll keep an eye out on some fog, maybe Friday morning being very close to us. Definitely something to keep your mind on. Not a big maker, but something to keep a definite eye on as we get closer to that time frame. So let's go to the NAM, which goes out a little farther, of course. It still kind of shows, here we are on Friday morning, and then we're going into Friday afternoon. It wants to force some of that moisture still down on top of us Friday evening, it looks like. This is 3Z. So now we're talking 9, 10 o'clock on Saturday, well, Friday night into Saturday. And it just throws a little bit on us, and then it kind of does it again in the morning, Saturday morning. So it's shifted the time frame when we could see a little bit of this moisture until Friday night into Saturday. That's when we'll keep an eye on this and see if anything pops up with it. You can see the winds coming out of the north on this chart right here. And do they have the wind gusts on this? They do not. Let's go to the temperature, though. The temperature on Friday and Saturday looks still to be cold and chilly. You notice that it's a bit warmer coming off of the lake, right? Well, the water's warm, its influence is there, and there'll be some clouds here. Yet we got an open spot to our southwest, right, where there's no clouds and it's much colder, single digits, 3 to 5 degrees colder easily. and that's what you'll see for Friday morning. So we're still looking on Saturday morning to be somewhere in the negatives again or close to it. You notice if I go back 1 3 hour spot here, Crawfordsville's -2, but we're 1 and it's 10 in Rensselaer. So you can see the difference between clouds to the north, no clouds to the south, right? And the open spot potentially still Saturday morning is still a possibility of being there during that time frame. Now let's go a little bit farther out again, back out, and we'll see the big picture of what of the temperatures there. And it's more of the same just about everywhere. So let's go back to the beginning and see where the moisture or any systems come near us during that time frame, other than that coming off of the lake, at least here on the North American model, right? The NAM. And we just see the snow up around the lake, and in this time frame, we're now into Thursday afternoon, Friday. Now we're starting to push into the morning hours, Friday night, and then here comes that moisture coming down, and this is from a prolonged period of the wind coming out of that direction that is helping to bring some of that moisture off of the lake. So it's going to be hit and miss Friday night into Saturday whether we get any of that light snow coming off the lake. I definitely think we'll probably see some cloud cover, especially during the nighttime hours. It looks like there'll be some cloud cover with that, which will help us with our temperatures. But here's the high way over here. This high setting up over Kansas, which brings us almost a due north wind. And there's a large low pressure system out off the coast. And you notice its winds are coming in from the northeast because the low is to our southeast and off the coast. That brings in a northeasterly wind for the folks in West Virginia, Tennessee, and remember, there's lots of cold here now, and now they're going to drag in moisture from the coast. And this is a potential storm happening for the people in the Carolinas over the weekend, it looks like right now. And that's been the big talk of the next big storm, anyway, at least as of right now. Now, let's go out to the European model and see where it shows snow. And it always goes straight to the snowfall on me. And it still shows that big system out there. Let's see if it picks up anything. We'll go back and it doesn't pick up much. What does it show coming off the lake on Saturday? Okay, so here we are Friday, there's Saturday. It's still trying to push it, but it's got a more northeasterly flow, not a northerly flow on Friday into Saturday, which gives us less of a chance of the snow coming off the lake. But there it is Saturday night again. Now we're back to northerly again. So there you go. Saturday morning. And just a slight risk for some flurries or some light snow, definitely some cloud cover, which will help keep us just a little warmer. By Sunday afternoon into the evening, here's the high now south of us. So it has crossed across during the day. Now, so it's way up to the north here on Thursday into Friday, then almost reorientates itself and comes popping out into Kansas by Saturday morning, and then turns and cuts across south of us on Saturday into Sunday, as you can kind of notice the circle right here. So flow is now coming from the west southwest here around the high pressure system, which is a clockwise flow. And then that kicks everything out. And the high is now south of us by Monday afternoon, Sunday afternoon into the evening hours. There you go. With bringing us a chance maybe Monday morning. And this was the same spot it was on yesterday's model. Somewhere around Monday during the day, there's potential for some snow coming from a quick moving clipper to our north. Let's see if the GFS picked up on that also. It has it there, but it has it farther to the north. So we'll keep an eye. Again, same thing. I always say keep an eye on it because first off, it's 5 days away. So we anything can happen with these systems during that time frame. And then the long range GFS just goes out, and then there's one system that pops through on Wednesday next week. This is very similar to yesterday with the moisture coming up Wednesday afternoon, and then into the evening hours, races kind of on through. Same trajectory as last week's storm for us. Now that means probably snow for us in the potential there, and I'll come back to that a little bit there to see if there's going to be anything major. But as I go on to Friday next week, there's nothing. Then there's nothing. We're into Sunday. Here's a little wave of a low coming west to east now. West to east. Notice there's not as much moisture around this one as there was the other one. There's nothing stacking up to the south, but it is slowly picking up moisture from the Gulf of America to our south. That one could be right along the ice maker kind of thing for us. The 5400 line is real close to us, the 540 line. So that could be one of those we'll have to watch out for. But this is next to Sunday. All right. Next Saturday, Sunday, that system buzzes through us. And then we're still cold for a while. We have another quick clipper coming in, and we're just keeping an eye on the cold temperatures for a ways. Let's go back to that one system that kind of buzzes through us real fast. All right, there it goes. Let's see what it says for snowfall during that time frame. Da, 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 da. Precipitation types. So total snowfall, it just shows us a couple inch potential during that little system pumping through. It goes through so fast. But then let's keep an eye on the 1.8 and see how it changes. It's 1.8 in Lafayette right there, right? And then as that next system, I said Saturday into Sunday, right? Boom, it comes through. It wants to drop about 4 inches more of snowfall on us, but that's next Sunday into Monday. So we'll keep an eye on that. Much heavier along here, and ice concerns with this one. We'll have to keep an eye on that. What are the temperatures during that time frame? Um, See, it's a warmer system. So here it comes racing through on now we're Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. There goes the one system on Tuesday, goes zipping right through, and we're hovering around 30, 32 there for a temperature right there. 30, 32 is close to us, kind of passes over us for a little bit. So that could be one of those we'll have to watch out for ice. And then it just reinforces the cold again for middle of the month, February. That's all the way out to February 13th there. So now we're 2.5, 3 weeks out. We still have below normal temperatures throughout that time frame. So not a lot of change on that front. And let's go quickly out. I wanted to show you guys, those of you who know anybody in the Carolinas. Here's a zoom in on that, and I'm going to go in and show you the model, the NAM. Let's go to the NAM first, and we'll hit the precipitation, and we'll go to the precipitation type. And let's take a look at the system as it comes up near the coast for these folks. And the time frame, I've lost the time frame up there on that, but here we go. Cuts across. Look at the low is down here off the coast, right? Charleston, South Carolina is right about here. You get up here, you're getting towards Myrtle Beach, and then now into North Carolina, and then back towards Tennessee over here. Notice the mountain areas, and yes, the Appalachians aren't mountains like the Rockies, but they are a bump on the earth, and that bump creates an uplift. So any moisture that's being forced this direction from the ocean towards the mountains will be uplifted and create moisture and clouds, hence the potential for snowfall. So I could see a lot of snow falling in the southern Appalachian Mountains, and then a whole swath along the coast looks like it wants to pop up. See what I heard the European model wants to go farther out, but look at the European model just in that short period, dumping 5-6 inches of snow there, and along the coast, even 3 inches for the folks there in the Carolinas. And then look how it grows. Woo, doggy, right in the middle portion of the state of North Carolina, where they normally do not get snow. They're talking 14 inches of snow by next week, by after this weekend, and all along the coast, and then in the mountains too, as that system moves off. And I believe the European model was quieter than the GFS. Let's see what the GFS says. Yeah, look at that big pocket in southern Virginia and northern North Carolina of 25 inches of snowfall in the next week coming up for them. Over the weekend, possibly because that low pressure system is off the coast. When I look at it here and we go a little farther out, you can't really show it that well. Let's just show North America real quick. And that's too far out too. Contiguous, there we go. Contiguous United States of America's precipitation type. So now let's look at where the low comes from. See it there? It's not a hurricane, but it's the same type of thing. It's a low just off the coast that forms there, and it's going to go up the coast. And as it does that, it's going to drop snow everywhere. This could also be a problem in Washington, D.C. New York City is right in here. Back up towards, there's Jersey right there. There's New York. There's Washington, D.C. There's Virginia, and all the way up to Boston. So this could be an East Coast maker. If you are traveling to the East Coast this weekend into Monday or Tuesday, it could be definitely some travel problems there as that low passes off. So that just goes to show you the low does not have to be close to you all the time to get you some weather. And during that one period, Saturday night, when that flow is all the way around the low pressure system, counterclockwise coming off the ocean, we have potential to pick up just a little moisture and get a little more influx off of Lake Michigan, and that's when we could see something from the system as it gets closer to us. In reality, it's closer to us, at least at that time frame, and that's when we could see some snows. Saturday evening on this one, it shows on this chart. If you go back a one or two, you can see just a little bit of the snowfall going through that area. So there's where you are, at least standing on the frontal systems right now, and where the satellite picture kind of shows everything that we are in at the current moment. It's not a bad day. It's just freezing out there, right? That's what everybody likes to see. I've got some pretty cool pictures for you, though. I wanted to show you some things. One of our friends, one of my friends, Corey Douglas, posted this picture today. She was on Facebook. I know she'd be okay if we show it to everybody. And it's just a beautiful picture out there in the country of the sun coming up, a little bit of clouds here or there. I don't know if this was this morning or yesterday morning, but very nice shot that she showed to everybody. It's great to see that picture out there. It makes it feel tranquil and beautiful with the sunbeams coming through there. But boy, is it cold outside. And then I also wanted to show you two other things. One is the snowfall. Snowfall since October 1st. So this is the chart that the National Weather Service uses, and it shows us at 25 inches of snow already, which I believe is already over our average for the year. But I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I'm pretty sure 25 inches is over. So 24.7 for Lafayette right now is what we're seeing. Places up north near the lake, 61, 71, 71. That's the lake effect areas up to our north. Just about everybody in the 20s in the state because of such of the big storm that went through just in the last week or so. So 25 inches on that front. That's a pretty cool chart to see. And then this one is interesting to many of us, this chart here. Because I talk a lot about the lake effect snows and the potential for the lake effect snows, this is what the chart looks like from NOAA right now. Okay, so NOAA is showing this chart of lake effect snows and showing the potentials for still likely. So there is a time frame eventually during every winter where the snow itself will become more less likely from the water because the water temperature becomes colder and even freezes over. You notice this is where we're seeing now there is ice along the lake in northern Indiana and southern Michigan already starting to form. And of course, it's frozen in places that it's shallower up to the north and where it's been colder. Same thing with Hudson, Lake Hudson. There's plenty of open water. Yes, there will be some snowfall, but your lake effect still likely is along Lake Michigan, starting to become less and less over the southern portion of the lake, unless it runs directly down the lake where it can pick up all this moisture. But this, if we extend, to our cold period, which it looks like we're going to, is slowly going to ice and ice and ice. I don't believe Lake Michigan totally ever ices all the way over. There's always some open in the middle somewhere, but it will get some more ice along the edges, which actually lessens the effect of the lake effect because now it's pouring over ice and it dumps the snow on the ice instead of over the towns just on the shore there, right? So I thought that was pretty interesting to see that we're starting to see the amounts of ice that affect how much snow we may see when we're looking at potential for lake effect snows coming at us and coming around us. So there you go, folks. It's going to be a cold, chilly forecast. I wish I had better news for you. Currently, right now, 2 degrees Fahrenheit, and it is just going to be cold. Let's take a quick look at the numbers there for you. Um, I'm noticing now, as I look at this, that the temperature itself is off the chart, and I will make sure we fix that in the next day or so, so we can read that. But lots of teens. We go out to the calendar real quick here, and again, no warm temperatures were left in the month of January. Above normal. The next time we have a chance to be above normal is maybe next Thursday. It only shows a high of 32, but Friday and Saturday show a 37 and 35. So we could be up near normal there. And then on the 9th, 45. but all the other temperatures are again below normal. Once we get into the middle of the month, we start getting back into the 30s more consistently, even some 40s. And look at this, one model way out there to the 23rd of February shows 63 degrees. There is light at the end of the tunnel if you are looking for warm air in our locale. And when you go to this chart that I like at the end, it shows a couple little peaks up early in February and one big one. That's the 63 late in the month. Otherwise, all these temperatures are below normal for the month of February and showing our big cold that we're in right now. Some ups and downs we've seen in the last month. Some the deep cold that we saw in December too, if you remember the middle of the month where we were below zero. So that's what we have at least on the front weather-wise. Cold, cold, cold. No help on any front with that, unfortunately, for anybody out there. I wish I had some better news on the cold front and the cold weather. But generally speaking, hopefully you are keeping warm. You are trying to bundle up. We have not had any major problems that I've seen anywhere locally for power. So most everybody's been able to heat their house. If you're on propane, of course, doesn't matter. But a lot of the other places, if you are on electric, you may have been running some heaters or anything along those lines. Hopefully, you've been staying warm and you have been keeping an eye on your family and your neighbors. I hope you've been doing that. I have yet to see, and let someone tell me if I'm wrong, that we have had any weather related deaths in the state of Indiana. And there were 34 confirmed people who had died from the storm, it looked like yesterday. I haven't seen an update number since then, but none in the state of Indiana. So that's really, really good news there on that front, and something we really, really, truly do like to see. As of right now, though, things are pretty quiet, other than the cold. There was some big news all over the country right now. We have, man, I don't know how many different things we can show. I could show you hundreds of things. I'm starting to find so many different cool things, like what cameras look like at different places. I am gonna go back out and go back to the full screen real quick here to show you that real quick. Here's the Indiana snowplow. So here we are. This is Teal Road, right? This is right by the mall. Teal Road and well, what were we talking? Veterans Memorial, or not Veterans Memorial, Sagamore Parkway, right? So there's Teal Road, and you can go to this website and you can find these pictures. Here we are over by the Purdue Airport, right there. This is 231 and 52 at River Road. You can see how the roads are nice and dry. The sun is out nice this morning. And then let's go back out to the interstate. Here we are, I-65 at 25, and everything looks nice and dry right now. Blue skies off on the horizon. This is looking towards the southwest. You can find this information at a website that I go to, and it's called Search Traffic Wise. That's one way to find it, and it'll give you some indications. It'll show you what a snowplow is seeing right now. Let's see what we can see on one snowplow. Can I see the picture? There you go. There's one of the snowplows in the local area out on interstate, or not interstate, Indiana 25. That was at 9:16 this morning. The picture doing one of the roads out there in the county. So pretty cool. I thought you might like to see that. Came across that. There's so many different things that you can find weather wise, pictures, videos, you name it. And I'll try to get some more and more of that into our forecast and into what we see and do on a daily basis here at Let's Talk Lafayette, right? So not a bad thing when we have so much weather. We have several different weathermen in the local area. I believe I am your winter weather expert, but I do love some of the other guys putting out information right now, despite the fact that there is not a local TV weather forecaster right in Lafayette. The guy on the TV stations isn't bad either. So I haven't picked up his name yet. I'll probably figure that out and let you know here pretty soon too. But for us, what's been happening? Well, there's a lot going on. First off, I've got to get into the Purdue game last night. I did not get to see the highlights. I followed it on ESPN, just watched the numbers. But I also followed it on X, right? And that's where most of you go ahead and put your opinions out there of what was going on in the game. And it was not good. It was not good. The halftime score was 40-29, Indiana. Indiana was up by 11 at the half, and from what everybody said, Purdue looked lackluster, wasn't trying. It was Indiana had all the motion, had all the vigor, and was trying their best. Purdue had made like its first four shots or four of its first five, and had a small lead. And from then on, it was just all Indiana. And the second half, Purdue tried to come back, got out. They outscored Indiana 38-32, but lost 67-72. And people were like, what happened to this team? Where is this team? Where is their head? What's going on? We know they're seniors. We know they got all this. So I'm just telling you what X has out there. I just know it's just one of those lulls during the season. To me, that's what it is. Could be a couple factors, some people being hurt. Just could be some factors of tiredness from the season. They haven't gotten their second leg yet, that kind of thing. Every team goes through it. Championship teams, even them, even they lose those games occasionally. And look at Nebraska lost last night, right? And Michigan almost lost that game. Could have been Michigan State came from behind to win a game. So everybody's struggling at the moment to win games in conference against good teams. And Purdue is playing a plethora of good teams. And yes, Indiana's record is not the greatest, but they are a rival. And a rival is always never to be messed with, right? So the Purdue men's basketball dropped basically its third straight game, falling to Indiana 72-67. And now they're 17-4 overall, 7-3 in the Big Ten Conference. Even if they win on Sunday at Maryland, I imagine they'll drop to about 14th or 15th. If they lose at Maryland, then they might even fall out of the top 25, but probably into the 20s is my guess. Now, there's something to be said about that too, because people tend to forget about you if you fall out of the top 10. I kind of like that too. Maybe you need that chip on your shoulder to say, hey, you forgot me. Here we come. Right. I don't know. I'm not sure what the players need specifically. For me, I would have loved that. You call me the underdog, I'm coming at you and I'm going to go after you every single game. But after yesterday's first half performance and they had lost two in a row, you would have thought they'd have come out firing on all cylinders, even if they weren't hitting buckets, but they were playing solid. It sounded like they were not. Purdue led 23-19 with 7:04 to play in the first half, but the Hoosiers used a 13-0 run to take a 32-23 lead and would push the lead to 40-29 at halftime. So that's kind of how the game went. Looks like they had the lead. It was back and forth, and I was following it back and forth, going, all right, here's the score. We took the lead, but could not press the lead out any farther, and then they went on their run. Purdue's 29 first half points is the second fewest in a half all season. They scored 27 against Iowa State in the second half in that debacle. Remember that game? So notice the problems. Giving up too many threes, not scoring any threes themselves. That's when they lose pretty easily. Now, Purdue did cut the lead to 47-41 with 15 minutes to play in the second half. But Indiana, again, quickly countered with like a 12-4 spurt to take its largest lead of the game, 59-45, and at 9:54 to play. And at that point, I said, I don't know if they're coming back the way they've been playing. I saw that score 59-45, but then they just started crawling back into this game. And at one point, it was 65-63. So they had gone on a 18-6 scoring run themselves to get back to within 2 points. And that was with 1:30 to play. So the guys were fighting, trying to get back into it. But unlike Michigan State or Michigan, they couldn't close it. They couldn't come in and close the deal out, and they fell to Bloomington in Bloomington. They fell to the Hoosiers there. So Purdue has lost now 4 of its last 5 meetings against in Bloomington, and they were ranked in the nation's top 13 times each of those 4 losses, 4 out of 5. Man, during Purdue's 3-game losing streak, opponents have made 39 of 91 threes. That's 43%. And you remember how many times we've heard, we'll let them take the long threes. We're fine with that. Well, not at 43%. You're not. Averaging 13 made three-pointers in that span, each team is. That is crazy. One guy made 9 on his own, so was 9 for 11. Let's just let him shoot it. That's what people are kind of upset about. The defense just has not been there. It's what Purdue has always been known for years and years and years. And while it's great to have the number one offense all the time, numbers-wise, KenPom-wise, it's not great to have a bad defense. You don't win national championships that way. It's hard to outscore really good teams as you get to the end. Okay. Alabama made a run into the Final Four a couple years ago, the year Purdue got there, and they failed. So, and Purdue was the number one offense or close to it that year too, but their defense was better, but not good enough that year. So, man, 6 straight opponents have shot at least 46% from the field. and they've averaged at least 1.16 points possession or more. Many of them 1.4 possessions, a couple of them. So the last two for sure. Purdue has allowed a run of 10 nothing or larger in 5 straight games. In the first 16 games, they only allowed that 5 times. So we're seeing numbers that don't fit with what a Purdue defense is and what we would like to have from our Purdue guys. And I'm sure they're either going to take some practices off or they're going to be running their guts out the next few days as they get ready for the Maryland game on Sunday. One game after outscoring Illinois in the paint 44-14, Purdue only outscored Indiana 24-18 in the paint. And Trey Kaufman had a 20-point game. He scored 23 of those 24 points. He had 3 rebounds, 3 assists. No rebounds there. We got to get some rebounds. We did out rebound them, but it's not the same teams. We've made changes and the changes aren't working. Obviously, the guys aren't scoring. We're not stopping anybody. We keep trying to throw these big guys out on guys that are going to shoot, or we leave the shooters wide open. And, well, they're only a 28% shooter. Well, that night they're a 52% shooter. So you got to watch that. TKR went 9 of 14 from the field, and he moved into 30th place on the school's career scoring list at 1,379 points. Now, Braden Smith also tallied 14 points. He had 5 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals, a pretty solid game. He seemed kind of quiet in the first half as the team wasn't playing that great. Came on in the second half a bit. He became the first player in Big Ten history to have at least 500 assists in just conference games only. So that's a pretty good deal there. And he's 11th now on the NCAA career list with 948. Man, just people just not happy with that at all. Wanting more of a team that they saw earlier in the season. They have not been playing good for the last month. Numbers wise, they look to be somewhere around the 70th best team in the conference for the last 5 weeks. So since Christmas. And then like the month of December, they were the best team in all of basketball. And then for the month of January, they're the 70th best team in basketball. Not a good thing. Some of the highlights, Lawyer said in the press conference afterward, the thing we talk about is playing for a full 40 minutes, and we haven't done that. So that's good. The guys, I always give it to the guys because they come in and they always tell you it's our fault. We're the ones that need the problem. We got to make changes. Numbers wise, it's just, man, it's hard to say who's going to do what on any given night other than Braden, right? TKR seems like he showed up. Some of the numbers we see here, Smitty, time-wise, Smith was on the floor for 35 minutes. Meyer was on the floor for 5. In the shooting guard position, Lawyer was on the floor for 20. Meyer was on there for 15, and Harris was on for 5. In the strong forward position, Cox was 30, Harris was 10. Benter got 25 minutes in this game, and Murphy and TKR split up that time frame. And then TKR and Clough split up 20 and 20. And that's what they went to in the second half. And they started looking like their old selves again, right? That's when TKR started coming on. That's when they started getting their points and scoring a bit better. And so that the time-wise, it looks like the coaches are trying to make some changes and do some different things to see if they can get something to come up and help during that time frame. Coach said it's frustrating, to be frank with you, because we have too good of a team for this to happen. So he didn't hold back in the press conference at all. They've lost 3 in a row. I can't remember the last time they lost 3 in a row. Did they last year? Doesn't seem like it. They lost 3 or 4 out of 5 or 6 or something in there in one stretch. I don't know if they had 3 in a row again or not, but definitely something that we haven't seen a lot of at Purdue, and definitely something that many of us are not used to, especially over the last 5 years or so. We could call it even 10 years at that time, at that point, because it's been a pretty good team. I'm just going to read a couple of the highlights from X. Here's someone. It's no surprise that Purdue went to the championship game where he had animals like Zach Edey, Mason Gillis, and Lance Jones. Those 3 were killers. They were tough. This team this year is fake tough. Well, that's from Purdue apologist on X. Another one says, I'm say something that will ruffle a large portion of this fan base, but the discussion needs to be had. Painter is complacent, recruits guys with a complacent temperament, and this program is ineffective with good enough syndrome. I'm not sure what that means totally, but he's trying to say that they're not playing hard enough, right? Um, Try Trust Paint says this: the difference is the last year is we were one of the worst teams in the country at 2 point percentage defenses and block percentage, meaning people got to the rim with ease and finished with ease. That's been fixed. But why did teams go get to the rim with ease? They blew by our defenders, and that did not get fixed. So uh and this guy says y'all owe Caleb first a big apology, by the way. Right? Clough is the man. He's there, but right now he's getting beat. He's getting beat pretty hard on defense. So it's something they got to fix. Still can score, he still can rebound, but not if you're going to stick him out at the 3 point line. You're going to see 3 point, three rebounds from the guy, right? Um, Here's one. Braden does a weekly podcast with sleepers, so that's the problem. Go look at the man's numbers. uh, Man, it's this kind of a crazy thing going on there. So a lot of people still upset with it. Watching the last three games reminds me of thermodynamics. I keep showing up and paying attention, yet I have absolutely no idea what the heck is going on. And I changed the word that was put in there. So, uh, yeah, it's just one of those things, and it's part of sports. Every team goes through it somewhere or another. When is Purdue going to play again? Let me take a look at the schedule real quick here from them. I know it's Sunday. What time on Sunday? Let's see here. Why do they not put the latest or next game right at the top of the schedule? Instead, you got to go pan down. I never understood that. Okay, so they played last night. They lost 67-62. They're playing Sunday at 1 p.m. It is on CBS, so almost everybody will be able to see it, including myself. I believe I'll be able to see it. And they are at Maryland. At Maryland. They come home, then they get a week off. Maybe that's what's needed. Maybe they can win this Maryland game. You got to get a week off. They don't play till next Saturday, February 7th, at home against Oregon. And maybe that's on CBS also at this point. So the next couple games you'll be able to see. And maybe they need that rest in between. Maybe that's what it is. Is it a tired team? Is it a rough team? Is it they just out of syncopation, so to speak? Or are they just struggling because they're not as good as we thought they were? I have just a feeling that it's more a long, grueling season, and they're in a down spot. And in other seasons, possibly even this season, a couple things one way or the other, and for instance, they win the UCLA game or they win the Illinois game. Last night, I'm not sure if they would have won the game because they kind of got behind and had to try to catch up. But the other two, they had leads, they had significant leads, and they lost them both. So those two look like tired. This one looked like didn't even want to be there in the first half. So that's what a lot of people are saying and what they're talking about. Unfortunately, not a great thing. But Sunday, 1 o'clock, and next Saturday at 1 o'clock at home. So it's going to be a long week ahead for them after the Maryland game for sure. We'll see what happens. Whether the coach burns their legs out or he or he gives them even just a couple more days off and says, well, we'll just go into Maryland with one practice and we'll do it. The only problem I have with that is still Maryland is a Big Ten team. I don't care if you're playing them at home, and they are pretty bad right now. You just got beat by a pretty bad Indiana team who didn't seem to think that they were bad at all. They played like they were champions and on their home court, and they defended their home court like they should. And you paid for it because you went in there lackadaisical, at least for 20 minutes. So, and the team sees that, it appears, at least at this point. So, what's going on news-wise? Well, locally, I'm going to hit a couple things here from WLFI. There were some protesters that gathered at the Tippecanoe County Courthouse yesterday expressing disgust with ICE, which is happening around the country. But look at these folks. These folks did not block traffic. They did not get in people's faces. They had posters out. They had pictures. They were out there. And these people, I loved their protest for this. And I listened to these folks. When you get in people's faces and you're going after the police like they did in Minneapolis, and that's what they have done in Minneapolis, and you're blocking traffic and people are getting hurt and there's potential for people to get hurt and has happened. You notice this is not happening anywhere else in the country but Minneapolis. Minneapolis is the only place where they are confronting the police and they're probing, trying to see what they can get rid of, because in the summer it may get worse and worse. Why? Because first off, you have an election coming at the end of the year, and everybody does these things on like a time schedule. It's literally the summer before any election. There's some kind of protest they're going to be out there, and some of them will be violent if they can do it and use it. Right? We've seen this time after time after time again. Nothing different here. Once the weather warms up, there'll be more people that will go outside and protest, and more people that will get in people's faces just to confront the police. And why confront the police? Because they're getting rid of people who have records or have felonies generally. Occasionally, someone's it gets swept up in that doesn't, but generally speaking, that's who they're picking up, and everybody knows that. But they want to point to the finger to some 5-year-old kid whose dad got picked up at the same time and say, "Look at who they're picking up." Or they want to point to, some guy who accidentally got picked up and 3 days later got released once they realized he was an American citizen. Okay, wrong, but that can happen. That happens when you're doing sweeps like this to get people. Uh, and the confrontations on the streets has been to what has led to people getting hurt because it's not happening anywhere else because no one else is confronting police in the streets. All right. This is not a hard thing to figure out. I appreciate you protesting. You have the right to protest. That guy could bring a gun to a protest, whether we liked it or not, depending on who you are. He had the right to have a gun. And I just feel like right now it appears that a round went off from that gun and that spooked everybody and they shot that guy on Saturday. I don't know what's going to happen with that. None of us like that. But that has nothing to do with the actual police having been there because if there was no confrontation in the beginning, this never would have happened in the first place, right? But there was a confrontation. Somebody's pushing. They show him in the street. He's stopping traffic. He's guiding traffic. He's filming everything. And this is happening everywhere, where up in Minneapolis, especially. The folks in Lafayette, great protesting, just stood on the street corner, showing their signs, marching up and down. I like to see it. Got on the news. Very good for Lafayette, showing how you should protest. Right? You do not have to become an insurrectionist to get your point across. That was the same thing that happened to the idiots on January 6th, the 200 that broke into the uh, to Congress or tried to break the windows and do all that stuff. Not the other 1,000 people who just wandered through the building, but the 200 who did damage. Those people needed to be in trouble, right? Same thing with the people up in Minneapolis, St. Paul. So that's my take on it right now. And as you have heard, if you've heard this show before, I believe amnesty will be coming to us in the next couple of years, and it will be headed up by none other than President Trump. You watch. You watch. It'll happen probably the year of the election. Why? Because it's an election year. And if you get amnesty passed in 2 years, right? And I think a lot of us are for that because none of us are against the people themselves. You get them to pay a fine or whatever it is, get them back into the tax brackets, get them into our system, flood our system with money that they're making and they're using, and we become stronger too. It's the illegals and the problems with the felonies that we're having problems with. And I also told you, if anybody's listened to me, I think I may have even wrote it on Substack that we were never going to get rid of any more than just the felons, that our nation handle any more than that. And this is exactly what's happening and what has been seen. Sometimes an old man can see the most basic things straight in front of him, and that was one of them, that we were not going to go for any more than just the people who were felons, had killed somebody, that were in prison, that were being problems, were part of gangs, stuff like that. That's the people we were going to get rid of and send them back to wherever they were. A lot of them have been released from their own prisons and sent to our country by their country because they didn't want them anymore either. So why not just push them onto the United States? No one seems to think that's a problem. No one seems to think all these sexual problems that came for people coming across the board being sex trafficked is a problem. And we're talking like 800,000 people a year, right? Anywhere from 400 to 800,000 people a year, whether you believe 1 million or 2 million people came across the border under President Biden. That's how many were sex trafficked. That's the numbers. Are you okay with that? Because you seem to be okay with it. Although I don't hear any complaints that the border's closed right now. So that's good news. Most of the border's closed and people can come in legally if they need to. And then just overstay their visas. That's kind of how it works out. But good people, I see amnesty coming. I think it's a great thing. It'll be good for the country in the long run. We did the same thing back in Reagan's time frame, and it still worked out pretty good. And yes, those of you Republicans who hate it, the Democrats are going to get some pluses for this, but they're already getting those in California anyway, because that's the way they want their numbers to work. So that's it on that front. All right, let's hit the weather real quick, and then I'm going to call it a day because I got to go to a doctor's appointment. I'm going to go back to it real fast here. I'm going to hit up a couple of the highlights, get away from me on my soapbox and talking to you guys about that. 2 degrees currently at this moment. And 16 for the high today. -2 for your low was this morning. I saw -3 on my car when I dropped the boys off this morning, the grandsons. -6 potential tomorrow morning with a high of 11 on Thursday. Friday only 15, 19 on Saturday. So you can see the cold stays with us. It is in our mix. We are still under a advisory right now. It is an extreme cold warning until noon, and that's because wind chills could be anywhere near 20 below zero as the winds pick up this morning. And our temperature still hovers around that 2 degree mark. With 7-mile-per-hour winds, we're now roughly at about 10 below zero wind chill, depending on the gusts. If the gusts are in the 15 to 20 range, we're closing in on the -20. So that's why we still have it in effect for another 2 hours this morning. Satellite picture just shows the cold basically over us. Let's see if we have any shots that show the visual right now. And I'll stop it on the last shot here. Okay. You can kind of see the clouds moving across there. And then over Lafayette, which is right here, you can see the river very easily and the snowfall there. We have clouds to our south that can be seen here, some low clouds. And then we have clouds coming off the lake to the north. And then just that kind of streamy little cumulus clouds we saw yesterday coming in from the northwest. More of that is over Indiana. Very hard to see as the sun is just coming up in the last hour or two. And this picture is about an hour old. So that's how we're seeing it as of right now on that front. Let's get into the cold real quick. We'll just go to her, show you the temperatures in close, show you what we're talking about for surface temperatures and what we'll see as we go through today and through tomorrow morning. Here we are this morning. This is the 12Z, which goes out all the way, I think, till Friday morning. So there we were, cold this morning. Where are we at noon? At noon, it says we're going to be about 12 degrees. Here we are in Lafayette. If you can see that right there, probably right about the middle of the picture or close to it on your screen. 12 degrees right there. Then we warm up this afternoon. We get to 17, maybe 18 in the local area. This is right around 3 o'clock. 3 to 4, it'll peak temperature-wise, 17 or 18, maybe 19 if we're lucky. Plenty of sunshine, as long as we don't get an abundance of clouds. There'll be scattered clouds, but if we get under a cloud deck, we might only hit 16, that kind of thing. We're variances on our temperatures here just a little bit. Then we get to about here we go. There's 6 o'clock this evening as you're heading home. A lot of you, 14 degrees. Winds have started to die down now, 6 knots instead of 15 knots like we were going to see during the day today. And then temperatures drop off again tonight. There's the pocket of cold popping up. Here we are at 1 in the morning. It's down to 3, -3 down in Indianapolis already by that time frame. And by early tomorrow morning, here we are at 7 o'clock, it's -2, -1, -3 all around us. Shows Crawfordsville -4, a little pocket of -5s and 6s near us. So very cold tomorrow morning again, but the winds still kind of on the light side. I'm sure they will put some kind of warning out. When we hit there at 8 o'clock, it shows us at roughly -2 to -3 to -5, anywhere in the local area. So very cold tomorrow morning. And then again, not much of a rebound tomorrow, maybe back up to 17, 18, and then back into the cold Friday morning. Now the HER shows, look at that, -3 on Friday morning at, this would be 7 o'clock. So here we are again, Friday morning below zero. Every day below zero temperatures. It looks like the forecast is cold. There is not a lot of heat out there anywhere, and we just do not have it in our mainstay right now of what we do and what we don't have. As for any warmth coming anytime soon, it will be, again, it will probably be sometime in the middle of February before we actually hit a high temperature. Maybe the end of next week, we get a high temperature Friday or Saturday that has potential to get there. That'll be the 6th or 7th of February, where we're actually near with the average temperature high for this time of the year. And then again on the 9th. And still it's cold after that. So you're talking 2 or 3 days, maybe, and then it'll be like the 18th before it hits it again. If this stays on track of much, much colder temperatures during the month of February below normal again. Good news here, I only see one minus, which is on the 12th, but don't be surprised. Remember, these are trends for the long range forecast. We always go with trends on those, and then we start to give you a good idea what's going to happen. Those long range forecasts do not stick very good at all. There's a struggle with them. We see information on them all the time. Low pressure systems move north, south, highs are faster, slower. It doesn't matter. Any kind of little small thing can change. So the farther out you go, the least effective the forecasts are. But the trends are usually right, right? It's going to be warmer or it's going to be colder. It looks like it might be rainier or drier. Those kind of trends do tend to work much better than the specific. It's going to be 32 degrees on this one date. Easily could be 42 or 22, right? So, just keep it up here with me. I'll keep going through every chart every single day, enjoying this, going through a very extensive look at the weather every morning. We'll probably give you a quick hitter of what we think is going to happen over the next few days. Then we'll get into the charts. Then I'll talk some sports and news, come back to the charts, that kind of thing, and give you a good comprehensive look, the best, most accurate comprehensive look that you'll find in the state of Indiana, especially right here in Lafayette, because I will go into it for 30 minutes to 40 minutes, not 3 minutes. You'll see every chart. You'll see lots of satellite pictures. You'll see what we look at on a daily basis, and I think you will enjoy it because of that. And we'll see how it goes. I think the show may get shorter. I'm not going to go 3 hours. This hour right now might be about where we go, right? Where I can show you everything. We can talk about some things. Maybe you can chat. I still would like to get you to get on here and chat if you can, and that would be great. But that's it for today. Doctor's appointment coming up, straightforward, going to the neurologist. Say some prayers for me. Hopefully, all the news is good. Maybe they can help me out with some of this chronic pain. And we will try to stay warm. You stay warm, Lafayette. Many blessings to each and every one of you. And we will see you again tomorrow.